Kevin Stefanski future is pretty much guaranteed, bro. He finna be up out of there. Joe Flacco has wasted no time getting it in on his former head coach. Guys, bro, I see why Mike Tomlin said what he said before the game. Because if you guys haven't heard, the Cincinnati Bengals put the beats on the Pittsburgh Steelers, bro. Joe Flacco threw for over 200 yards, no picks. Man, Joe Flacco looked like he could win the MVP quarterback, bro. I ain't lying, bro. He looked like MVP caliber performance, dog. What Joe Flacco did, legendary. I ain't lying. Kevin Stefanski is in the hot seat, man. We got fans pulling up receipts. We got members of the media pretty much saying him and Andrew Berry need to kick rock.
Did you realize that you could have this successful of an offensive game like this quickly?
You're not thinking about it in that sense. I mean, I think you're always like wanting to go do that, but I think what being here in this situation has done for me is it allows you to recalibrate and not worry about those things. It allows you to just focus on the basics. And it's a good reminder that doing that is what leads to success and consistency. So I think the bigger thing going forward is just continuing to remind myself of that.
Breaking news straight out of Cleveland. Joe Flacco, the NFL's comeback grandpa, just went off on Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns coaching crew like we've never seen before. Patience. That word doesn't exist in his vocabulary anymore. That chapter's been ripped out, burned, and buried 6 feet deep. Word going around is that something deep inside that locker room finally snapped, like a quiet storm that's been waiting to explode. And now the whole city's whispering, wondering, did the Browns really just push the calmest man in football past his breaking point? This meltdown isn't just a moment, it's already carving its name into NFL chaos history. Oh, Cleveland, the city where dreams don't just die, they take a long, dramatic fall first. A place where field goals drift wider than a lost promise, and every new quarterback experiment ends up crashing harder than a failed DJ remix. Every season starts with hope and ends with fans saying, maybe next year. It's brutal, it's sad, and somehow it's become tradition. And right when you think the circus finally packed up and left, here comes Joe Flacco. Yes, that Joe Flacco, rolling back into town like the main character in a revenge movie. And what does he do? He lights the match and blows the entire Browns organization sky high, like his own personal 4th of July finale. Jimmy the Brown has spent years chasing that so-called savior, throwing away nearly $500 million on a quarterback who's still buffering like bad Wi-Fi. Every snap feels like waiting for a frozen screen to reload. And just when Cleveland thought they'd moved on, the guy they basically gave away for spare change comes storming back and makes their front office look like a bunch of amateurs running a high school scrimmage. It's beyond embarrassing. It's tragic comedy at this point. Joe Flacco didn't just win, he humiliated Cleveland without even bothering to put on their jersey. He reminded the whole league that class, composure, and veteran IQ still run the game.
Joe Flacco just exposed Kevin Stefanski, showing us everything wrong with the Browns offense. And after hearing this, it's clear Shedeur Sanders need to be traded. Joe Flacco just exposed Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns offense. Joe Flacco threw for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns on 47 attempts and 31 completions. Cleveland, did you get rid of Joe too? Cleveland, did you get rid of old Joe too soon? I don't know the best way to explain it, but it seems like every quarterback that leaves Cleveland, if they was in that horrible organization, then they left them, they on a different path to where they about to become a superstar again. In this case, Baker.
While Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry seem stuck studying football out of a PowerPoint deck labeled What Not to Do, Flacco showed up like a man who'd stepped right out of a football time machine, dropping over 200 yards with sniper-level precision, pocket poise so clean it could make a statue jealous, and that calm, dangerous swagger that screams, "Remember me? I was elite before half these dudes even had Wi-Fi." And the wildest part? Somehow, he's out here dismantling defenses like it's rookie mode on Madden. Smooth, easy, and disrespectful. Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanski's headset might as well have been locked on smooth jazz because the Browns' offense moved like a confused Roomba. spinning in circles, stalling out, and crashing straight into every wall in sight. It was painful to watch. You could see it all over the fans' faces. Pure disbelief. They weren't just watching Joe Flacco win, they were watching their own team's incompetence play out in 4K high definition. Every drive looked like a blooper reel with a scoreboard attached. The irony burned hot. Flacco didn't even have to say a word. He just stood there, calm as ever, giving off that unbothered, told you so dad energy, while the Browns' house went up in flames behind him. Then he casually mentioned turning broken plays into touchdowns, and you could practically feel Cleveland's entire coaching staff panic Googling how to execute broken plays successfully like their jobs depended on it. It was comedy gold if it wasn't so sad. This franchise has turned into a full-blown joke, a never-ending sitcom that somehow keeps getting renewed for another losing season. You could almost hear the ghosts of Browns quarterbacks past clapping from the shadows. Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, even that poor dude who started one game and disappeared like he got drafted into witness protection. And now, surprise, surprise, Kevin Stefanski's roasting in the hot seat again. It's basically...
Could you do that, Andrew? How could you do it? Why on earth did you feel the need to trade this guy to a division opponent for a 5th-round draft pick? Fireable offense. That is a fireable offense. I want to know how much longer the owner's going to watch this crap, because the fans have had it. We deserve better. You worried more about your stadium than you are your football team. That's the perception, Jimmy.
Cleveland's yearly ritual at this point. New year, same panic, same coach rocking that 1,000-yard stare, silently praying, maybe if I stand real still, they'll blame the water boy. But nah, the fans aren't falling for that this time. They're tearing through old receipts like detectives at a crime scene, calling out every terrible play call, every wasted drive, every game plan that looked like it was scribbled in crayon by someone who hadn't slept in 3 days. The crowd's fed up. They're saying even kids playing Madden could coach better. And honestly, they're not wrong. At least Madden players know when to call a timeout. Meanwhile, the Browns front office is catching strays like it's open mic night at the comedy club. Andrew Berry, nowhere to be found. No interviews, no statements. Man dipped out faster than a Browns playoff lead, evaporating in the 4th quarter. Now fans are looking around asking each other, wait, did we really trade away the only quarterback who actually knew what he was doing? And the craziest part, it's not even just about that one game, it's about what that game exposed. The Bengals, led by the guy Cleveland tossed away like loose change, didn't just beat them, they humiliated them so bad the stat sheet couldn't even describe it. The difference in poise, confidence, and leadership was like night and day. Joe Flacco looked like he'd been running that Bengals offense for 10 straight years. Calm, sharp, surgical. While the Browns looked like a group project where nobody read the assignment and everyone's just guessing the answers. You couldn't write a script this messy if you tried. The Browns quarterback room has had more turnover than a donut shop on free sample day. Players come and go so fast, you'd think they were running a loyalty program. And the fans, they're losing their minds while Kevin Stefanski stands at the podium trying to explain it all, sounding like a guy who just realized he's been texting the wrong group chat for months. Every post-game press conference feels like a TED Talk titled, How to Waste Elite Talent in 60 Minutes or Less. Yet somehow he keeps insisting, the system works. That right there, that's the Browns' favorite lie. Trust the process. The problem, the process keeps trusting the wrong people. Year after year, same movie, same ending, same heartbreak. The fans are drained, man. They've watched this Cleveland tragedy on loop for decades.
When teammates have gone through that.
Oh, for sure. That was an awesome sideline, an awesome locker room after the game. But at the same time, you got to give those guys a lot of credit. Like, it's not easy to lose 4 straight games and keep your head into it. So the fact that they've been able to do this and get to the point where we got tonight and beat a good football team is also impressive.
Along those lines, Joe, it's one win, but given the fact that you came against that defense in this environment, you see the potential of this team, especially offensively.
Yeah, you sure hope so. You hope you can come in here and play well. And you always want to, like, especially when you get guys that are good at playing football, you want to go show them, like, hey, man, like, we're going to be able to do
same blown chances, same sad memes, same post-game speeches that sound like fake apologies dipped in empty promises. At this point, the Cleveland faithful deserve emotional hazard pay. You can literally picture them sitting in a church basement like it's a recovery meeting. Hi, I'm Dave, and I believed in Kevin Stefanski, the room size. They've all been there. Because somehow, Cleveland always manages to blow itself up from the inside. And this time, the explosion came courtesy of the man they said was washed, finished, done, Joe Flacco. While chaos burns behind him, Flacco's out there vibing, turning busted plays into highlights, cracking jokes about his coach's accent, and connecting with receivers like they've been running routes together since high school. Now that's real football. Meanwhile, the Browns are over there trying to reinvent the wheel, except theirs is square, made of paper mache, and already falling apart before kickoff. Fans have had enough. They're cranking the rage dial all the way up, aiming straight at the top. Jimmy Haslam, the owner who collects head coaches like he's building a trading card set, but somehow never learns a single lesson. And of course, right after him, they're blaming Andrew Barry. Oh, and how could we forget good old Kevin Stefanski? Everyone's catching heat in Cleveland right now. People are saying Jimmy Haslam cares more about expanding that shiny stadium than actually building a team that can win a playoff game. The whole franchise is getting roasted from every angle. Talk shows, social media, even random barbershop debates. They're being called a joke, and honestly, that's putting it politely. Right now, Cleveland doesn't look like an NFL team. It looks like a busted circus. Broken rides, sad clowns, confused fans, and a
And they're looking like an MVP for the Bucs. And Joe Flacco ain't even left Cleveland for a full 2 weeks. And he already done threw for more yards and touchdowns than he did in Cleveland. Come on now, what's going on? I think Mike Tomlin was right. Maybe Andrew Barry's smarter than all of us. He don't know why the Browns traded Joe Flacco, a veteran, to a division rival that they got to play again, and Mike Tomlin knew they gonna have to play Cincinnati against Joe Flacco. But Joe still didn't know the play, and he beat a Steelers team that demolished the Cleveland with Dylan Gabriel.
Popcorn machine that won't stop setting itself on fire. Every analyst on TV is asking the same thing. How did this even happen? How does a roster loaded with talent keep tripping over its own shoelaces? How does a team with so many weapons look this clueless? And how in the world is the guy they traded away, Joe Flacco, the only one who looks like a real professional? The answer's not complicated. It's bad leadership, plain and simple. Flacco's command of the game was effortless, calm, poised, sharp. You could see it in his eyes. That cool grin of a man who knew exactly what he was doing while Cleveland kept fumbling the basics. He was proving everyone wrong, loud and clear. That confidence was electric, contagious, and unstoppable. His teammates fed off it like they'd just been plugged into a power source. The sideline came alive. Energy, fire, belief. While across the field, the Browns looked stiff, disconnected, and straight up miserable. You could almost see it in their eyes, like they were silently asking, why can't we do that? And here's the painful truth. Cleveland's been overcomplicating football for years. They've been too busy chasing shiny playbooks, drowning in analytics, and parroting every buzzword from the latest coaching seminar. They treat football like a science fair project instead of a game that's about instinct, grit, and heart. But Joe Flacco just gave them a brutal reminder of what real football looks like. After the game, he got personal. Talked about his family, his kids, and what it means to grind, to keep pushing when everyone counts you out. It was raw, honest, and everything Cleveland's been missing for years. Meanwhile, somewhere behind closed doors, Kevin Stefanski's probably nervously explaining to ownership why his so-called elite offensive system can't even crack 17 points. You can almost hear the universe laughing at this point. Cleveland treated Joe Flacco like a busted lawn chair, tossed him to the curb without a second thought, and now that same chair's lighting up scoreboards like a Christmas tree. The city's in full-blown media meltdown. Radio hosts losing it on air, fans raging in comment sections, jerseys flying into trash cans, and timelines turning into live therapy sessions. And the anger...
Makes those decisions. I trust they did. We talk about every decision we make. They wanted Joe. They made the phone call. Obviously, it gives Joe an opportunity to go play again. I trust in obviously it's a young room, but I believe in those guys that they're all working very hard. Obviously, Bailey's the elder statesman right now, but Sean's in there. You have to provide great insight to the young guy. I trust in Coach Musgrave, Coach Reese. First, I'd say is the Joe trade took us by surprise. That was not something that we saw coming. They called us, and that's
It's not just about losing, it's about getting humiliated by the one guy they let walk out the door when they needed him the most. The Browns front office has gone completely silent, and that's hilarious coming from the same people who can't stop talking during draft week about their grand vision for the future. So where's that vision now? Probably hiding in a broom closet next to the dusty playbook nobody reads anymore. Andrew Berry was supposed to be the architect of this whole operation, but it's starting to look like he's been holding the blueprints upside down. If he's not careful, that comfy GM chair's about to get as hot as Stefanski's headset because fans aren't stupid. They know how this works. The GM buys the groceries, and if the meal tastes terrible, you don't just blame the chef, you start asking who did the shopping. That's the new narrative brewing in Cleveland. If one goes, both go. 2-for-1 clearance sale in the coaching department, and somehow one quarterback trade, just one, has spiraled into a full-blown franchise crisis. It's poetic justice at its finest. The team that's been defined by quarterback drama for decades just got schooled by the very man they tossed aside like yesterday's leftovers. The football gods must be rolling on the floor laughing at this one. No fancy gimmicks, no spreadsheets, no analytics, just pure old-school ball. Joe Flacco even laughed after the game, saying half the plays were miscommunications, and somehow those were the ones that worked. You can't make this up. Cleveland's over there, running full meetings, long practices, and overthinking every snap like it's rocket science, while Flacco's out there freelancing like it's backyard football, calling shots, winging it, and still walking away with the win. That's the kind of loss that keeps coaches staring at the ceiling all night, wondering where it all went wrong. And deep down, the locker room feels it too, because players aren't clueless. They know when something's broken. You can see it in their eyes, feel it in the air, who's prepared and who's just pretending to hold it together. That kind of energy doesn't lie. Right now, Cleveland's locker room feels like a...
Allow these people to do this. You have the worst offense in the league. Your GM screwed this quarterback thing up like I've never seen. In my life, I've never seen anything like. Kids that play Madden could have done a better job. Truly, that's not hyperbole. It's a joke. It's a joke. This franchise has become a joke.
Ticking time bomb, ready to blow at any second. And once that trust in the coaching staff starts cracking, everything falls apart fast. The veterans check out mentally, the rookies start freelancing, and before you know it, everyone's out there doing their own thing, while Stefanski's on the sideline, clutching his clipboard like it's a participation trophy. It's sad, man. And that's what really stings, because this isn't just another ugly loss, it's a scar. A permanent reminder of what happens when leadership fails. Soon enough, the pressers will start again. The same old buzzwords: execution, focus, one game at a time. The same tired soundtrack fans have been hearing for years, while their belief fades a little more each Sunday. You can almost feel the faith draining out of the stands. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco's out there as calm and unbothered as ever, walking proof that experience, composure, and confidence still mean something in this league. He's showing up, staying grounded, smiling through it all, and quietly proving everyone wrong just by doing what he's always done, winning. It's about karma. Pure, poetic football karma. The football gods finally stepped in to balance the scales, rewarding resilience and punishing arrogance. Cleveland thought they'd moved on from Joe Flacco, that he was old news, finished, forgotten, but the joke's on them. Flacco wasn't done with them.
Andrew Berry trade Joe Flacco to force Kevin Stefanski to move Shedeur up the depth chart. Now, obviously, turning a 6th-round pick into a 5th-round pick was the result of that deal, and that's cool. That's great. That's a good outcome. But was there also another benefit of the trade from Andrew Berry's perspective? So that strategy, that tactic, if the coach of the team, and this was the Oakland Athletics at the time, the baseball team, but this happened before. If the coach of the team is unwilling to play a player that you, meaning you, Paul DePodesta, or the GM, the front office, whatever,
he came back with a vengeance, dropped a masterclass performance, and left the entire franchise staring at itself in the mirror, wondering how they managed to mess this up so bad. And that's the real hit, because sometimes the hardest blows in football don't happen between the lines. They land in the front office, when the people upstairs finally realize the guy they tossed aside for nothing just made them look like straight-up amateurs on live TV. That's not just a loss. That's humiliation broadcast to millions. So maybe next time, Cleveland will think twice before giving away competence for cheap. Because Joe Flacco didn't just beat them, he exposed them. He peeled back every layer of dysfunction and showed the whole world how lost this organization really is. Now he's walking away with the win, a calm smirk, and the quiet...
A player that you want the coach to play, then you simply trade away whoever he is playing, and you leave the coach with no choice but to play the player that you want. They did this in Oakland. Case in point in this situation with the Browns, Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders. So Dylan Gabriel had already been named the starter, obviously ahead of the Minnesota game in London last week. And if we go back, we remember that there have been reports that Dylan Gabriel in the draft was Kevin Stefanski's pick. He was that was Kevin's guy.
Satisfaction of turning every single doubter into a believer again. It's the kind of revenge story that hits different, classy, cold, and completely deserved. And somewhere under those gray Cleveland skies, you can still hear the fans sighing those same old cursed words they've said for decades. Maybe next year, but not if they keep turning legends into ghosts. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Because trust me, this story's just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. See you on the next one.